What we saw on the bog still haunts us. This story happened a few years back when I was still a university student. By the time I was in my second year, I started seeing this girl by the name of Lauren. We had been dating through most of that year, and although we were still young, I was already convinced this bonny Irish girl with faint freckles on her cheeks was the one I'd eventually settle down with. In fact, things were going so well between Lauren and me, that I foolishly agreed to meet her family back home. Lauren's parents lived in the Irish Midlands, only an hour or two outside of Dublin. After taking a short flight from England, we made our way off the motorway and onto the country roads, where I was surprised to see how flat everything was, in contrast with the mountainous, rugged land I always imagined the Emerald Isle being. Lauren's parents lived in a very small but lovely country village, home to no more than 400 people, and surrounded by many farms, cow fields, and a very long stretch of bogland. Like any boyfriend, going to meet their girlfriend's family for the first time, I was very nervous. But because of the historic tension that still exists between Ireland and England, I was more nervous than I really should have been. After all, what Irish parent wants to hear their daughters bringing home an Englishman? As it turned out, I had no reason to be so worrisome, as I found Lauren's parents to be nothing but welcoming. Her mom was very warm and comforting, as Lauren said she would be, and her dad was a polite, old-fashioned sort of gent. "There's no Mr. Mahone here. Call me John," his first words were to me. A couple of days and heavy dinners later, things were going surprisingly smooth. Although Lauren's parents had taken a shine to me, which included their border collie, Dexter, my mind still wasn't at ease. For some reason, I had this very unnerving feeling, as though something terrible was eventually going to happen. I just assumed it was nervous jitters from meeting the family, but nevertheless, something about it didn't feel quite right. Almost like a warning. On the third night of our stay, this uneasy feeling was still with me, so much so that I just couldn't fall asleep. Staring up at the ceiling through the darkness, I must have remained in that position for hours. By the time the dawn is seeping through the bedroom curtains, I check my phone to realize it is now 6 a.m. Accepting no sleep is going to come my way, I plan to leave Lauren, sleeping peacefully, to go for a stroll down the country roads. Accidentally waking her while I got dressed, Lauren, being Lauren, insists that we go for an early morning walk together. Bringing Dexter, the family dog, with us, along with a ball and hurling stick to play with, we follow the road that leads out of the village. Eventually passing by the secluded property of a farm, we then find ourselves on the outskirts of a bog. Although Lauren grew up here all her life, she had never once explored this bog before, as until recently, it was the private property of a peat company, which has since gone out of business. Taking to exploring the bog, the three of us then stumble upon a trail that leads through a man-made forest. It seems as though the further we walk, the more things we discover, because following the very same trail through the forest, we next discover a narrow railway line once used for transporting peat, which cuts through the artificial trees. Now feeling curious as to where this railway may lead us, we leave the trail to follow along it. Stepping over the never-ending rows of wooden planks, Lauren and I suddenly hear a rustling far out in the trees. Whatever it is, it sounds large, and believing it's most likely a deer, I squint my tired eyes through the dimness of the woods to see it. But what I instead see is the faint silhouette of something peeking out from behind a tree at me. Trying to blink the blurriness from my eyes, the silhouette looks no clearer to me, leaving me wondering if what I'm seeing is another person or an animal. "What is that?" I ask Lauren, just as confused as I to what this was. Continuing to stare at the silhouette a while longer, Lauren, with more efficient eyes than my tired own, finally provides an identity to what this unknown thing is. "I think it's a cow," she answers me, though her face appears far from convinced. "It probably belongs to the Doyle farm we passed by." Pulling the phone from her pocket, Lauren then uses the camera to zoom in on whatever is watching us, and while I wait for her to confirm what this is through the pixels on her screen, the uneasy feeling that's ailed me for the past 3 days only strengthens. Until, breaking the silence around us, Lauren wails out in front of me. "Oh my God!" What Lauren sees through the screen, staring back at us from inside the forest, is the naked body of a human being. Its pale, bare arms clasped around the tree it hides behind. But what stares back at us, with seemingly pure black, unblinking eyes and snow-white fur, is the head of a cow. "Babes! What is that?" Lauren frighteningly asks. I don't know," my trembling voice replies, unaware if my tired eyes deceive me or not. Upon sensing Lauren's and my own distress, Dexter becomes aware of the strange entity watching us from within the trees, and with a loud, threatening bark, he races after this thing, like a hound on a fox hunt, disappearing through the darkness of the woods. "Dexter, and oh!" Lauren yells, before chasing after him. "Lauren, don't go in there." She doesn't listen. By the time I'm deciding whether to go after her, Lauren was already gone. Afraid as I was to enter those woods, I was even more terrified by the idea of my girlfriend being in there with that thing. And so, swallowing my own fear as best I could, I reluctantly enter to follow Lauren's yells of Dexter's name. The closer I come to her cries, the more panicked and hysterical they sound. She was reacting to something terrible. By the time I catch sight of her through the thin trees, I begin to hear other sounds. The sounds of deep growling and snarling, intertwined with low, soul-piercing groans. Groans of pain and torment. I catch up to Lauren, and I see her standing as motionless as the trees around us, and in front of her, on the forest floor. I see what was making the horrific sounds. What I see is Dexter. His domesticated jaws clasped around the throat of this thing, as though trying to tear the life from it, in the process, staining the mossy white fur of its neck a dark currant red. The creature doesn't even seem to try and defend itself, as though paralyzed with fear, weakly attempting to push Dexter away with trembling, human hands. Among Dexter's primal snarls and the groans of the creature's agony, my ears are filled with Lauren's own terrified screams. "Do something," she screams at me. Beyond terrified myself, I know I need to take charge. I can't just stand here and let this suffering continue. Taking Lauren's hurl from her hands, I force myself forward with every step. Close enough now to Dexter, but far enough that this thing won't buck me with its hind human legs. Holding the hurl up high, foolishly feeling the need to defend myself, I grab a hold of Dexter's loose collar, trying to jerk him desperately away from the tormented creature. But my fear of the creature prevents me from doing so until I have to resort to twisting the collar around Dexter's neck, squeezing him into submission. Now holding him back, Lauren comes over to latch Dexter's lead onto him, barking endlessly at the creature with no off switch. Even with the two of us now restraining him, Dexter is still determined to continue the attack. The cream whiteness of his canine teeth and the stripe of his snout, stained with the creature's blood. Tying the dog lead around a tree's narrow trunk, keeping Dexter at bay, me and Lauren stare over at the creature on the ground. Clawing at his open throat, its bare legs scrape lines through the dead leaves and soil, and as it continues to let out deep, shrieking groans of pain, all me and Lauren can do is watch it suffer. "Do something." Lauren suddenly yells at me, "You need to do something. It's suffering." What am I supposed to do? I yell back at her. "Anything. I can't listen to it anymore." Clueless to what I'm supposed to do, I turn down to the ashwood of Lauren's hurl, still clenched in my now shaking right hand. Turning back up to Lauren, I see her eyes glued to it. When her eyes finally meet my own, among the strained yaps of Dexter and the creature's endless, inhuman groans, with a granting nod of her head, Lauren and I know what needs to be done. Possessed by an overwhelming fear of this creature, I still cannot bear to see it suffer. It wasn't human, but it was still an animal as far as I was aware. Slowly moving towards it, the hurl in my hand suddenly feels extremely heavy. Eventually, I'm stood over the creature, close enough that I can perfectly make out its ungodly appearance. I see its red, clotted hands still clawing over the loose shredded skin of its throat. Following along its arms, where the bloodstains end, I realize the fair pigmentation of its flesh is covered in an extremely thin layer of white fur, so thin, the naked human eye can barely see it. Continuing along the jerk of its body, my eyes stop on what I fear to stare at the most. Its non-human, but very animal head. Frozen in the middle, between the swatting flaps of its ears, and the abyss of its square gaping mouth, having now fallen silent, I meet the pure blackness of its unblinking eyes. staring this creature dead in the eye. I feel like I can't move, no more than a deer in headlights. I don't know for how long I was like this, but Lauren, freeing me of my paralysis, shouts over, "What are you waiting for?" Regaining feeling in my limbs, I realize the longer I stall, the more this creature's suffering will continue. Raising the hurl to the air, with both hands firmly on the handle, the creature beneath me shows no signs of fear whatsoever. It wanted me to do it. It wanted me to end its suffering. But it wasn't because of the pain Dexter had caused it. I think the suffering came from its own existence. I think this thing knew it wasn't supposed to be alive. The way Dexter attacked the thing, it was as though some primal part of him also sensed it was an abomination, an unnatural organism, like a cancer in the body. Raising the hurl higher above me, I talk myself through what I have to do. A hard and fatal blow to the head. No second tries. Don't make this creature's suffering any worse. Like a woodsman, ready to strike a fallen log with his axe, I stand over the cow-human creature, with nothing left to do but end its painful existence once and for all. But I can't do it. I can't bring myself to kill this monstrosity. I was too afraid. Dropping Lauren's hurl to the floor, I go back over to her and Dexter. "Come on. We need to leave. We can't just leave it here," she argues. "It's in pain. What else can we do for it, Lauren?" I raise my voice to her. "We need to leave. Now." We make our way out of the forest, continually having to restrain Dexter, still wanting to finish his kill. But as we do, we once again hear the groans of the creature, and with every column of tree we pass, the groans grow ever louder. "Don't listen to it, Lauren." The deep, gurgling shriek of those groans, piercing through us both. It was calling after us. Later that day, and now safe inside Lauren's family home, we all sit down for supper, Lauren's mom having made a Sunday roast. Although her parents are deep in conversation around the dinner table, me and Lauren remain dead silent. Sat across the narrow table from one another, I try to share a glance with her, but Lauren doesn't even look at me, motionlessly staring down at her untouched dinner plate. "Aren't you hungry, love?" Lauren's mom asks concernedly. Replying with a single word, "No." Lauren stands up from the table and silently leaves the room. Is she feeling unwell or anything? Her mom tries prodding me. Trying to be quick on my feet, I tell Lauren's mom we had a fight while on our walk. Although she was very warm and welcoming up to this point, for the rest of the night, Lauren's mom was somewhat cold towards me, as if she just assumed it was my fault for our imaginary fight. Though he hadn't said much of anything, as soon as Lauren leaves the room, I turn to see her dad staring daggers in me. Despite removing the evidence from Dexter's mouth, all while keeping our own mouths shut. I'm almost certain John knew something more had happened. The only question is, did he know what it was? Stumbling my way to our bedroom that night, I already find Lauren fast asleep, or at least, pretending to sleep. Although I was so exhausted from the sleep deprivation and horrific events of the day, I still couldn't manage to rest my eyes. The house and village outside may have been dead quiet, but in my conflicted mind, I keep hearing the groans of the creature, as though its screams for help had reached all the way into the village and through the windows of the house. It was only 2 days later did Lauren and I cut our visit short, and if anything, I'm surprised we didn't leave sooner. After all, now knowing what lives, or lived in the very place she grew up, Lauren was more determined to leave than I was. For anyone who asks, yes, Lauren and me are still together, though I'm afraid to say it's not for the right reasons. You see, Lauren still hasn't told her parents about the creature on the bog, nor have I told my own friends or family. Unwilling to share our supernatural encounter, or whatever you want to call it, with anyone else. All we really have is each other. Well, that's the reason why I'm sharing this story now. Because even if we can't share it with the people in our own lives, at least by telling it now, to perfect strangers under an anonymous name, we can both finally move on.